This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Joining us today is Thomas Boenger, the CEO of First Tin, listed on the London Stock Exchange with the ticker 1SN. So thank you very much for joining us today. Thomas, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine, Mark. Good. Hello. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Well, thank you for joining us today. And of course, we're going to be talking about tin, which is a little bit unusual on Stockbox. We cover a lot of mining companies, but tin is not usually a commodity that we talk about. But I noticed on your website that First Tin's goal is to be the best-in-class environmental standards to bring 2 tin mines into production in 3 years' time, and looking for a low-cost, value-accretive path up to 10,000 tonnes of tin per annum. So first of all, just set the scene for us. Give us the high-level overview of the company, the elevator pitch, if you like.
Yeah, Mark, my pleasure. Look, First Tin is a tin mine developer with 2 very advanced projects, one in Germany called Tellerhäuser and another one in Australia, Taronga, 2 different kinds of animals. The one is a high-grade underground asset, that's the German one. And the Australian, the Taronga project, is a low-grade, future open pit mine. This is what I mean with different animals. When it comes to our location, Germany and Australia, so 2 tier 1 jurisdictions, so we will become a supplier of conflict-free tin, because you should know that about 80% of the tin worldwide mining production today comes out of Indonesia, Myanmar, China, Congo. So where I believe it is very challenging to declare that as conflict-free, but in Germany and Australia, for sure, there is no child labor. And as well, we in this year achieved as well our inaugural ESG rating with Digbee. So as well, we are an ESG, we will become an ESG compliant tin supplier into the tin supply chain. We went public in April this year, was our IPO. Since then, we are listed at the London Standard, and we have a co-listing in Frankfurt since 3 days later. And in the course of that as well, we raised £20 million in order to finance our next steps, means to bring our 2 flagship project into an investment ready status.
Excellent. Well, I didn't know you IPO'd so recently, and you raised 20 million. That's a significant sum of money to raise, particularly given the current state of the markets, where I've heard it can be quite a little bit difficult to actually raise funds. So you must have had a very compelling offer there. Could you perhaps set the scene for us in terms of the market for tin? Because it's perhaps not one of the more interesting of metals that we talk about here on Stockbox. But as you said there, it's very important to have this ESG certification and the conflict-free supply of tin. So could you just perhaps set the scene for us on tin, where it's going, what the pricing looks like, and really what the market is for it, and why it is important for Europe, let's say, to have a clean supply of tin?
Tin is a very rare metal and a small commodity with about 380,000 tons annual tin production. But it is a very important and unfortunately the most forgotten element of the energy transition. So there was a study in 2018 from Rio Tinto, jointly done with MIT, and they looked into the raw material supply chain that fuels the energy transition and all other modern technologies like electromobility, electronics, artificial intelligence. And it turned out in that study that not the nickel, neither the copper or anything else is the most impacted one, but tin is that metal what is impacted most. So will requires additional capacities compared to the actual size. Where does the tin comes from and where it ends in? So the major tin application, the major tin use case is solder. So it joins together every electrical connection. That's as well the reason why we found tin in every electrical equipment in very, very small volumes, in very small portions. Therefore, sometimes it's as well called the spice metal because it's so small portions in every equipment. But without tin, there is no energy transition, there is no electromobility, and there is no electronics. So that's where we find it. And as well, that's the driver of the future growth for the tin market. The International Tin Association prepared a forecast based on the individual cases of application, and they came to the conclusion that until 2030, we need annually another 100,000 tons of tin. Most of that has to come from mining because the recycling is a challenge due to the small portions. Recycling usually aims not to recover tin, but to recover silver, gold, and copper, which is in the product either representing a higher value or a larger volume. If we now look onto the supply part, how that will look like, so the ITA as well evaluated the available and today already worked on tin mining projects, and they identify 11 tin mining projects as mature enough to enter into production until 2030. Interesting part for First Tin is out of the 11, 3 are in our portfolio. So that's Tellerhäuser, that's Taronga, and our Gottesberg exploration project, which already owns a JORC compliant resource statement. And those 11 projects are good enough, not for 100,000 tons, but for 55,000 tons only. Today, we see a tin price in the range of $25,000 to $27,000 per ton of tin, which is substantially higher than the long-term average of the last 15 years, which was in the range of $15,000 to $17,000 per ton of tin, but which is substantially lower as well as the peak value that we have seen March this year with nearly $50,000 per ton of tin spot price. So, and as well, we believe that it requires some $25,000 to $30,000 per ton of tin, new base price, new bottom line to attract new mining projects to become constructed and put into operation. So that's a rather solid estimation what is required really to add additional production.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. That paints the picture very well. And I can certainly see where you see the opportunity here in this space, and certainly with the package that you've assembled there as the company was IPOing to get set up with these projects is pretty significant because, of course, it's good to have the vision, but we have to actually have a path to get there. So let's look at how this might be possible then for First Tin. Let's focus on the two main projects, starting with Tellerhäuser. That's the high-grade underground operation that you mentioned. Can you give us an idea of the historical work on this project? What is there? What work you're doing, and a bit of a timeline of what investors can expect from this project?
Yeah, so there is a history with the Tellerhäuser project. Maybe let's start where Tellerhäuser is really located. So if we look at the German map, we then need to focus onto the former East German part and then go south towards the Czech boundary, so about 250 kilometers south of Berlin, so 2 hours drive from there to a federal state called Saxony. And there it is located in a region that is called Erzgebirge, which literally translates into ore mountains, which has 850 years of history of ore and mineral mining. So we are in a region where mining is a part of the history and where people are very proud of their history and in a mining friendly region, and even more in the city of Freiburg as well, situated in the All Mountains. There is the oldest mining university of the world, which provides as well for us the opportunity to get access to well-trained, well-educated mining engineers, geologists, and so on, which as well, I would say, is a USP in the world of mining, because usually mining engineers and staff are very rare. So there is a competition for that. Looking into the history of the project itself, so in the years 1945 till 1990, there was a big mining giant active in the region called Wismut. They mainly mined uranium, but they drilled a lot of explorational holes all over the region. That's one of the reasons why we know very detailed what metals are available in the region and where they are. And as well, this is the company that, by doing that exploration, identified the ore body, the two ore bodies that we call our project, which is not intersected with uranium mineralization. So that's as well one of the reasons why Wismut never aimed to mine that tin ore bodies, but we inherited at least all the explorational data. So it started in 2010 to digitize the historical data, to build then a resource model, to generate a scoping study until beginning of last year. And since then, we started a lot of activities. So we started the definitive feasibility study in August this year. We awarded the contract to DMT, that's a German mining engineering company. So the benefit is we have the DFS providing engineering company close by, talking the same language. That is very beneficial as well once it comes to discussion with the local authorities. We started as well a drilling campaign end of August this year at our Tellerhäuser project. We are trying to add further indicated to the inferred resources, to aim for an upgrade of the resource statement. And as well, we started already the permitting, so the construction and operational permitting application, while we already received a 50-year mining license for that area where Tellerhäuser is developed to become a mine. And if we talk the schedule, then our plan is to finalize the DFS as well as the permitting procedure until end of coming year, until end of 2023, and then to construct and to start the mining operation and to enter into production during or until the end of 2025. So to be really good in time for the start of the rising tin demand on the market.
Well, that certainly sounds to me like it would time fairly well with what's going on in the global economy and the forward-looking demand for these kind of metals. So a DFS, that's the big feasibility study, hopefully completed before the end of next year, so before the end of 2023, and then looking to get into production before the end of 2025. Just on the grades of tin, you say this is high grade. So what defines a good high grade for tin? So people have an idea who are more familiar perhaps with copper grades or gold grades.
So if we compare let's say the average coming from the resource statement, the average head grade is in the range of 1% tin at 25. So that's equal roughly to a copper head grade of 4%. I come from the copper industry, so I worked the last 16 years for the largest German copper producer. So I'm used to copper head grades as well as mining. So I haven't seen any ore body recently opened with 4% head grade. So that's maybe the past. And if we compare it to gold, which maybe the one or another as well is used to, then we talk about a head grade in the range of 6 to 8 grams per ton of gold, which as well is a very good, or which represents then as comparison as well a very good ore body.
That's a very good comparison. 4% copper would be amazing if that was found today at a copper project. So that I think will help people understand that project. Well, let's talk about the other. I know you've got 4 projects, but 2 are really the main focus. Let's move to Australia then and talk about Taronga. So again, this is in a different jurisdiction, but you said this project is more suitable for open pit. So does that mean it's lower grade? Again, just paint the picture for us here with what work's been done historically and what work you've done and will do on the project.
So maybe let's start first to give an indication where is our project located. So Taronga is located in New South Wales, at the northern part of New South Wales, just 4 hours drive south of Brisbane. About 1.5 to 2 hours drive inland from the coastline. So in a region which is very good developed, so that as well provides or that adds to our USP low capex project, because as well the existing infrastructure is a benefit for our 2 projects and for Taronga as well, because that means there are roads just next door, as well as access to the grid. So at the beginning of the 80s, there was a pre-visibility study done by Newmont. Looking into that, our Taronga ore body has a perfect V shape and is sitting on top of a hill, so a perfect shape to become an open pit project, completely different animal than our German project. So in Taronga, we are aiming to mine up to 5 million tons of ore per year, while in Germany, we aim to mine 500,000 tons of ore. So completely different size, completely different animal. As well, that's the reason why it is attractive to develop a low-grade ore body, because open pit mining provides the option to apply high volume but low cost, so cheap mining technologies. That's the reason why it is possible to develop that low grade. And there is another benefit in difference to a number of other tin ore bodies in the world, because our Taronga ore body is represented by a very, very simple mineralogy.
And what stage is this project at then? You mentioned the PFS from the 80s. Will your ambitions be to bring that PFS up to date as a starting point?
The PFS was brought up to date from our predecessor, so from Aus Tin. That's the company from where we acquired the project. So in 2016, they upgraded it or they brought it into the actual time, and we even more did a third-party evaluation for the prospectus last year, and we started the DFS based on the pre-visibility study as well for our Taronga project, and aim to finalize that until end of next year too. So there we are in the same time-wise and schedule-wise in the same position like our German project, because as well there we started the permitting application. So actually we are in the environmental impact assessment, the 4 seasons monitoring. It will still take a few more months to do that. And we as well have a drilling program there ongoing, because like I said, the last exploration and drilling program done by Newmont was at the beginning of the 80s. So we need to replicate a number of drill holes because the drill cores are not MO2. So we do there twofold drilling program, step out drilling with the aim to increase the resource, and twinning to duplicate old drill results.
Okay. So you've got two pretty well advanced projects there already underway with the DFS. So there'll be plenty of news flow, I imagine, throughout next year as you progress towards that, with various drill results, I guess, and resource upgrade statements. With the 20 million then that you raised on IPO, I presume this is both these projects are funded through to DFS, are they?
The 20 million provides us enough funding, enough budget to fund for both projects the DFS, for both projects the permitting, and as well the two drilling programs that we have at the two projects. And even more, we can finance an explorational drilling program in Australia, because our geos went around in the 25 square kilometer that we own there and identified a number of other outcrops of tin mineralization in the region. And we plan to start an explorational drilling program at one of those outcrops that we call Great Britain, to see if there is something big, maybe something that might become a hub and spoke approach that might become developed to a hub and spoke for Taronga later.
Okay, excellent. And your market cap is about 26 million, so value just a little bit there above cash value, or cash in the bank value effectively. So it looks like 2023 could be a very transformational year for First Tin. If you were to set out some key milestones, let's set aside the DFS, that's a long journey, that takes, it can take best part of a year. But for both projects and for investors, could you perhaps just give an idea of some of the real key objectives you want to achieve from these two projects sort of the first half of next year?
In the first half of next year, I try to achieve, first of all, an update of the resource statement for Taronga, because the drilling program is there very advanced. I expect that around the end of Q1 next year, maybe beginning Q2. After that, hopefully end of Q2 next year, then the update of the resource statement for our Tellerhäuser project. There we talk about very deep holes, about 800 to 900 meters, a number of holes. So that takes a bit more time than the shallower one that we drill at Taronga. So that's the general statement. And then looking further into the second half, I expect during the second half of the coming year, the finalization of the DFSs for Taronga and Tellerhäuser, as well as the permitting for Tellerhäuser, while for Taronga, most probably that will happen during the first half year of 2024 to achieve the permits, the operation and the construction permit for Taronga.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for giving us all that information about the company and the projects, which, as I say, are looking pretty well advanced. Next year will be a transformational year for sure for the company, with two DFSs due. And thank you for giving investors a little bit of an idea of some of the key milestones as we head into 2023. Thank you very much, Thomas Boenger, the CEO of First Tin, for your time today.
Mark, thanks a lot. It was my pleasure.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.